Tonight we're going to tell you about one of the best baseball players who ever lived, Albert Pujols, first baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals. This is what he's done in his first 10 years in the major leagues. He's never hit below 300, he's never hit fewer than 30 home runs, and he's never knocked in fewer than 100 runs. No one in the history of Major League Baseball has ever done that in their first 10 seasons. Not Babe Ruth, not Joe DiMaggio, not Ted Williams. Pujols, a native of the Dominican Republic, is now the idol in the baseball-crazy city of St. Louis. But what we found most impressive about Albert can't be found between the lines of chalk on a baseball field, as we discovered one night in St. Louis at an event where you would not expect to see the game's superstar.
The story will continue in a moment.
Last October, they rolled out the red carpet for a gala.
How are we doing tonight?
But the guest of honor was not Albert Pujols.
Oh, yeah!
This was a night for teenagers with Down syndrome, here for an annual prom put on by the Pujols Family Foundation.
Look right here, big smiles, and hold it. Good.
These kids got the full prom treatment.
You guys are awesome.
And when Albert and his wife Deirdre arrived, that's when the party really began.
Yeah, go, Albert Pujols!
They're not only dancing, they're dressed to the hilt, aren't they? Guys are in tuxedos.
Yeah, tuxedo, nice dress. It's almost like they want to go all night long until the next day. They don't want the night to be over.
And neither did Albert. Every kid wanted to dance with Albert, and he never said no. By the end of the evening, he looked like he just finished a doubleheader in August. Must be the highlight of the year for them.
Yeah, and for me too. Every time I'm around them, I enjoy it and have a great time.
This is Isabella, and she's the reason Albert got involved with Down syndrome. Albert emigrated to America from the Dominican Republic when he was 16. He met his wife Deirdre in Kansas City 2 years later. Right away, she told him she had an infant daughter, Isabella, who had Down syndrome.
I think he was like almost in tears. Like he just felt bad because, you know, when you look at a child who isn't quite what the rest of the world would expect, it can be heartbreaking, but he didn't care.
When Deirdre first told you, you didn't hesitate?
Nope, never in my mind crossed and say, oh man, I'd probably stay away, you know.
Albert was still in high school.
I was the babysitter. I loved to be around her, and those are memories, you know, that you will never forget.
And you consider her, no question, she's your daughter now?
She's my little girl, or my big girl right now. You know, she's 13 years old, and, you know, she's normal to us. She can do anything.
It was in high school in Kansas City that Albert realized he could do anything too. He could bash baseballs like no one else. In high school, were pitchers already afraid to throw good balls at you?
Yeah.
Albert is so proud of his school career, he wanted us to look at his scrapbook. Here was a player who could expect to be picked in the first few rounds of the 1999 Major League Draft. But it didn't happen.
I mean, the rounds were going by and he still hadn't gotten picked. And when he got the call that he had gotten drafted in the 13th round, he was devastated and he cried like a baby and he was heartbroken.
401 players were selected ahead of Albert.
I was crying and, you know, I wanted to quit baseball.
It was the St. Louis Cardinals who gave him a reluctant nod and a small signing bonus. They sent him to their franchise in Peoria, Illinois, a minor team in a minor league.
When I was in Peoria for 4.5 months, I got paid $252 with 50 cents.
That was his paycheck every 2 weeks. Deirdre kept supporting him, but they were drowning in debt.
There were times we'd have conversations, I think I need to file for bankruptcy. I don't know how I'll ever get this paid off. And Albert was like, no, don't do it yet. His exact words were, let's see what happens with my baseball.
What happened was this. He went on a tear in Peoria, and amazingly, after only 1 year in the minors, he made it to the St. Louis Cardinals. He was in the big leagues. It took him all of 4 games, before he hit his first home run.
It will not be nearly the last.
Swing a long one.
He came out swinging and hasn't stopped since.
If there's anybody better in the game today, I have no idea who that would be. Oh, yeah.
We asked his teammate Lance Berkman to explain something we did not understand. Why would any pitcher pitch to him?
In situations where the game is on the line, I would never pitch to him.
He must love it when the bases are loaded.
I still wouldn't pitch to him. I mean, I'd rather walk in a run than give up 4.
And that is a grand slam by Albert Pujols.
He is absolutely, unequivocally unbelievable.
Albert will tell you it's not just talent, it's work. Albert estimates he takes 15 to 20,000 practice swings a year. Look and listen. And pitching to him in a cage is a job you do not want. What drives Albert? He says he's still seething about how he was snubbed in that '99 draft. You'll never get over it, huh?
And never.
People have told me that it's really a bad idea to get you angry.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want me to go for 4 either, because the next day, whoever is pitching is going to pay up, you know?
Peter Gammons, perhaps the dean of all baseball writers, has been covering the sport for 40 years.
If you look at history, there's no doubt that he's in the top 10 players of all time.
He's 31 years old, and he already belongs in the pantheon of the greatest.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no question that he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Do you ever think back and, gee, I started out as a kid from the Dominican Republic. Look what's happened to me, I don't believe it.
Yeah, I think about it all the time when I'm in the hotel by myself, and I pinch myself sometimes. Wow, is this really me?
And every year he goes back to where he came from, a poor suburb of Santo Domingo. This is where he started playing ball, and where you can now see him in center field.
My dad always used to take me to a ballpark and give me some...
And this is the apartment where his aunt helped raise him,
Right there, yeah.
while his dad played softball abroad. Last November, Albert organized his own softball tournament on a familiar field, where he's just one of the boys. Well, almost. But the real reason for the trip was not softball. Albert and Deirdre regularly go to what are called bates, or shantytowns, to help people who really need help. What's the biggest need in a bate like this?
Everything. I mean, you're talking about from clothes, shoes. I mean, anything that you just throw it away in the United States, throw in the trash. It's almost like gold to these people, brand new stuff.
Their family foundation has sent American doctors to a place where not long ago witch doctors held sway. The foundation recently brought new mattresses to a bate where kids often slept 4 at a time on waterlogged beds.
Beds that you don't even want your dog or your cat or any pet that you have to sleep, and it was pretty bad shape.
Albert wants to expand the foundation's work to more bates around the country. Another medical mission is planned for this September. He and Deirdre were on hand to dedicate a new baseball field in the bate that the foundation funded. Albert then spent 3 hours giving a clinic to boys who want to be him.
Boom!
Here you are in a pretty messy place. Why do you do it?
Because this is my passion, and I believe this is what God is calling me to do. That was me, 25 years ago. I was one of those little boys with no hope, just a dream. This is not just so I can be Mr. Nice Guy. Look at that baseball player, you know. He's not just a superstar in the field, but off the field doing this. No, I can care less about that.
You don't care what people think about you?
No, not really.
Albert says his devotion comes right out of his religion. He is devout and as straight-laced as they come in baseball. Do you smoke?
Nope.
Drink?
Nope, never have.
Curse?
Once in a while.
Not often, huh?
No.
Baseball has lost some of its allure over the last decade because of steroids. And more than a few people look at Albert and ask, can he be that good and totally clean? But he's never failed a drug test, and has said he's willing to be tested every day. He stands by that statement. Given what's happened to baseball in the public's mind over the last several years, how important is Albert to the game?
He's really important as the face of baseball, and he is the primary face. We're looking at history. He's an icon, and we should appreciate it because he's never been anything that stained his reputation.
Albert is as much a part of St. Louis now as the Arch. He says he wants to be a Cardinal forever, but even though he's making $16 million this year, he is not among the 20 highest paid players in baseball, and that rankles him. His contract's up at the end of the season. He won't even discuss it now. Last August, Albert hit his 400th career home run. That put him in a very exclusive club.
Number 400 for Albert Pujols.
The ball's right here.
He's kept that ball, along with a few other things, in his basement. You've got a problem with this case.
Too much stuff.
Well, there's no more room. The room is teeming with trophies, mementos, and awards. But the bat he used for number 400, it isn't here. Why not? Just listen. Last August 31st, the Cardinals were shut out by the Houston Astros at the end of a brutal road trip. Late that night, Albert quietly left Houston's ballpark and went to the Texas Children's Hospital. He'd heard a 13-year-old boy was there who couldn't make it to the game because he had a malignant brain tumor. Albert came with a gift for Brandon Johnson. It was the bat that had whacked that 400th homer 5 nights earlier. He signed it, said a prayer, stayed for an hour. Brandon is still with us, and the bat is still with him. He hangs on to it the way he hangs on to life. Because of his surgery, it's not easy for him to express what that visit and that bat mean to him. Do you remember what you felt when you walked into the door?
I got real happy.
Albert did not come to see Brandon with a gaggle of photographers. It was not a publicity stunt. Albert Pujols has shown us many things since he came to America. Becoming a great baseball player is only one of them.
Go to 60minutesovertime.com to go behind the scenes with the producer of our Albert Pujols story, sponsored by Lipitor.